Coming up in today's video, we're talking about a huge update regarding the Jon Moxley, Tony Khan AEW lawsuit. Also, in addition to that, we have to talk about this, guys. A new WWE faction with the members being revealed. What are the possible plans? I am talking about that. We are going to talk about a AEW star who was injured, who appears to be training for a return. And we got to talk about a controversial figure in professional wrestling who used to have a ton of potential of being a top star, a very marketable superstar, but unfortunately, they've been gone for a few years. And apparently they're trying to come back. It's not going to work out, but we got to talk about it. And as always, if you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button because I'm always going to keep you updated with absolutely everything that is relevant to professional wrestling. So with that being said, let's talk about it. Eddie Kingston. Now, I love Eddie Kingston. I'm gonna just throw this out there. I think Eddie Kingston is one of my favorites. I love his personality, his promo style. He brings a lot of grittiness and real authenticity to professional wrestling. And we know that he suffered a severe leg injury back in 2024 against Gabe Kidd. The injury included a tibial fracture, a torn ACL, and a torn meniscus. And we know that Eddie Kingston underwent surgery to repair the damage. But he's been sidelined ever since. And honestly, it sucks. Like, I miss Eddie Kingston. I definitely miss Eddie Kingston. However, the good news, he has posted on Instagram that he is back in the ring training for his return, which is massive. As a fan of Eddie Kingston, as somebody who's a very, very big fan of Eddie Kingston, this just makes me excited overall. I think AEW definitely benefits from Eddie Kingston being on TV. Severe injury like this is definitely hard to come back from, which is why I'm just so excited to see that he's going to be coming back. And, you know, the thing about that is health is everything, bro. Health is everything. And with a lot of professional wrestlers, you see these injuries, you know, you never know how it's going to happen. You never know if they're going to bounce back. So I'm obviously rooting for Eddie Kingston at this point in time. Super excited about that. We got to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Joey Ryan, you remember him? You probably do remember him. Joey Ryan at one point was, a lot of people thought he was going to be a relatively big name in professional wrestling. And I have to give you guys some context because it's been several years since we have seen Joey Ryan. Now, Joey Ryan is somebody who at one point was in Impact Wrestling, and we've seen him do a lot of big things in the independent world of professional wrestling. He was known for his work in TNA, Ring of Honor, the Indies. And then what was really crazy is in 2020, there was the Speaking Out movement. And essentially what happened was multiple women accused him of sexual misconduct. Now, at the time, you know, he denied the allegations. He denied the claims. He actually filed a defamation suit in response. And then he became blacklisted from major promotions. In 2020, he allegedly resurfaced working at Disneyland, but then was reportedly let go after the company was made aware of his past allegations. So now it's been 5 years since the Speaking Out movement has happened. And then what comes out? There's a flyer. The 45-year-old wrestler is now being advertised for Portland Wrestling Reborn, which is scheduled for Saturday, August 23rd, 2025 in Vancouver, Washington. And this will be his first official wrestling appearance in several years. Now, this is a huge talking point because Joey Ryan, you know, was very popular. He was very beloved, especially when it comes to the independent wrestling scene. We saw what the Speaking Out movement did to a lot of wrestlers. He was definitely impacted by this. And immediately after this flyer goes live, I mean, every single person that I can imagine, like my Twitter feed and everything was just simply a lot of people being against this. And that's tough, man. That's tough. But you know what else is tough? What else is tough is actually quite simple. You know, these allegations that were there were pretty damn serious. And I don't know if this is a situation where maybe he thinks like it's just in the past and people will forget about it. But as you guys know, with social media and everything, people do not forget. And this promotion, Portland Wrestling, like they're not even putting the location on the flyer. It's like very clear that they're trying to like kind of hide it to maybe lessen the blow. But yeah, people are not obviously happy about this. I think that's quite obvious. And I think everybody kind of understands why. And that brings us to our next topic, ladies and gentlemen. We saw the third El Grande Americano on WWE Raw. People are wondering what is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, Ango tried to tell you guys. Ango tried to tell you guys weeks ago what is happening. And there was a lot of comments from people coming in. And people were like, Ango, you don't have sources. You don't know what you're talking about. So basically what ends up happening is this. Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez report that Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne are injured. I get tipped off that, hey, that's not true at all. WWE has some plans and they're working on some stuff, and you'll see in a couple of weeks as to why. Now, a couple of weeks go by, and we see Ludwig Kaiser, and we see the second El Grande Americano, which happens to be Pete Dunne. Now, last night on WWE Raw, we get the third El Grande Americano. And it's very clear if you look at his mannerisms, if you look at his height, if you look at his body type, ladies and gentlemen, that's Tyler Bate. So WWE clearly has a play here for a new faction between the three. Now, there are a lot of people also wondering if maybe Ilya Dragunov could be in the mix, because if we get some super Euro faction, I'm all down for that. But right now, Ludwig Kaiser, Pete Dunne, and Tyler Bate. Now, just keep in mind, when Tyler Bate was injured, there was interactions on WWE Raw between Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne. So when Tyler Bate was hurt, that's what we saw on WWE Raw. Now it's all interconnected. This is a new WWE faction. They're posing as the El Grande Americanos to throw people off. But guys, don't buy too much into it. Eventually, Chad Gable will return. This is going to lead into something much bigger and much better. And I love the idea of a super Euro faction. So this is the one that I'm going to be super excited about. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne need something good on the main roster. Ludwig Kaiser is perfect with them. And hell, if you give me Ilya Dragunov, I am all for that as well. Like, that would be really, really dope. And that brings us to our final topic, ladies and gentlemen. Pete Dunne and all that stuff we were just talking about. It's huge, right? It's a big deal, right? But you know what else is a bigger deal? There's a lawsuit that's currently happening with AEW and Jon Moxley and Tony Khan. And basically, what's making this really tricky, Brandon Thurston has been keeping up to date with this. And I just want to be perfectly clear. I am confused right now because I have talked about the lawsuit before on the channel. But basically, what's essentially happening here is that the judge has been asking AEW to disclose who is actually the owner of AEW. And we know that the owner of AEW is Beatnik Investments LLC. So now AEW today says it won't file an unredacted version of its filing that would disclose the trustees and beneficiaries behind Beatnik Investments LLC, which is the entity that controls AEW. And the judge basically said it has to be named, and this would go back to state court. It would not go to federal court if AEW doesn't disclose the name of the trustees and the beneficiaries. So for whatever reason, Tony Khan and AEW are hiding who is the parent owners, like who actually owns the company. Now, I don't understand the big deal. I don't know why AEW just won't say who it is. I have been under the impression since day one that AEW is owned by the Khan family, and a very, very, very small percentage of the company is owned by Warner Bros. Discovery. That's it. That is my belief. That has been my belief this entire time. And I don't understand what would be the big deal if that were revealed. But with AEW purposely not trying to disclose that information, it kind of feels like they're trying to hide something, which I don't think is the case, but that's what people are going to start imagining if you're constantly trying to hide who it is. You've been secretive about it at media scrums. Now you're being secretive about it in a legal situation. It doesn't make sense at all. And I don't really see the big deal. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.